Okay. All right. Good evening. How's everybody doing today? Yeah, I like that. It's good. Yes. All right, well, let's get started. We're all here to watch some pitches, and we should just jump right into that. So we'll start off by giving you guys a little insight on what we do and how we've kind of come about. But here's some of the details. Today is I believe it's our 26th pitch event. We've been operating these events since October 2016, and the premise behind why we did this was to give startups a platform for them to come out and pitch not only in front of an audience, but pitch in front of angel investors that will give critical feedback. So they get a lot of great feedback from you, but also great feedback from the advisors, which will help them in their progression as they move forward to look for funding. And what does this do for you guys? It allows for you guys to interact with angels after, talk with the startups, but also to learn a little about the atmosphere and how this startup community works when you're looking to get into funding. So thank you guys for coming out. So some statistics, all good stuff. So today, as I mentioned, it's our fourth session at York, so that's pretty exciting. We're going to be now doing the series in York every 2 months. So the next one is going to be in April, and that will be at the Y Center, which is the York University space, I believe. And then again, we'll be back here the following 2 months after that. So we're trying to follow a sequence and get everybody used to the time and being able to see the multiple spaces. But you can see we're supported by the educational arm in York Region. Some of our social stuff, because we always like it when you guys feed us out. You guys can tweet. It's a new company, I'm starting it. So you can tweet this out as well as look at the videos, do any other social information that we have. You can follow us in the areas of Instagram and Facebook. So in sort of pitch it, what do? Well, we help you spend... That's okay. I spend less time trying to find money and more time... I'm confusing myself here now with the talking in the back. Spend less time finding money, spend more time growing your company, and that's what we try to do at OPN. So our whole principle behind everything that we've been doing for the last few years, the last decade, is trying to help startups get into in front of big companies, work with angels, improve their business fundamentals in their pitch, and get to money. And that's really what it comes down to. How do I help my company grow? So a little bit about myself. My name is Jeffery Potvin, and we started this about 1.5 years ago. I originated from running a software company, which I still do own and run, which is called Hardboot. And from there, over the better part of the last 5 years, started to invest into startup companies. And from there, we decided, well, how can we help more? And it wasn't just about giving money. We felt that this was a better way to start to build a network, but also help build a community around startups. And this is where PitchIt evolved from. We are part of many different groups, so we do screening committees in different areas from York, G10, we're in Peterborough, and a couple other angel groups. And again, we do this so that we can help move you guys through a little bit quicker when it comes to finding those dollars. And I also work at Seneca as a mentor, and I teach 1 day a week, because who doesn't want to teach an entrepreneurship? It kind of rocks. So, about me, here's all the companies that we've worked with over the last 1.5 years. I'm not sure if there's any missing and whatnot, but you might see a couple in here that you've, I guess, seen in the world. We're pretty excited about this, and this keeps growing, so eventually you guys are going to need little bifocals to get in there and see all the brands, but it's pretty exciting. We have worked with lots of cool companies. Here are some of the up-and-coming events that we work at. Film Up series on February 20th. If you guys are in the Durham region or would like to get out and check out a pretty cool thing that we do, we work with one of the partners in OPN. He runs a series which is a sales talk that runs in Whitby. And it's pretty cool. They get a lot of great speakers to come in. It's been running for the same time, about 1.5 years. And the whole concept behind it is, how can we give feedback and details around how we've been doing sales for 20 years or 10 years, whatever that might be. So all these people carry a lot of insight, and they share their stories, and you can interact with them and find little nuggets that might help you in the sales world. To our next session, which we'll push heavily now, we have PitchIt TO City Hall, which is kind of our flagship event. It runs in City Hall. We have roughly anywhere between 300 to 400 people that come in attendance. kind of like here, there's a variety of people. You're probably looking at 60% of the people are entrepreneurs. And then you have the rest teeters around 30 to 40% of angels and VCs that come out to look at for companies that they can invest in. Cool thing is, some of the companies that have pitched have found their investors in the room, so you can't go wrong with that. And you can see all the rest of the up-and-coming events that we're part of. So I have to thank all of the people that, one, work at OPN, so all the people in the back filming, Laura, Katerina, all these people are what make this happen and all the events that we do, so we thank them for all their great work. So hand around the hands for them, they're awesome. Flow Water, they are a company we invested in 3 years ago, and they have been supporting us since day one. So the water you guys are drinking is their product. They've expanded into a new product line, which is flavored organic waters, which is pretty exciting. I don't think we have those here, but I'm drinking one, so everybody can have a sip if they like. But outside of that, they're a great company, and they are now shaking their way into the U.S. and cross borders, which is really exciting. But they've been sponsoring us, so we got to thank them. And Miller Thompson, which is part of the OPN Accelerator, as well as the fund that we've created to help startups. Miller Thompson has been a huge supporting factor of what we do, and they provide all of the companies that come into the OPN Accelerator. They provide them with services up to a certain amount, which is negotiated between them and the startup, and that's part of the whole process where they want to help support the community as well. Our partners, Startup York, York Angels, Seneca Helix, thank you for letting us be here. Y-Space, which is where we'll be in 2 months. And of course, that's all part of YorkU as well. So a great community that's supporting what we're doing. So thank you guys and everybody else for allowing us to be here. Yeah. I can't clap. I can't. It's hard. All right, so the format. Today we're going to change it up a little bit. We've been, as we've done 26 shows, or being our 26th, we're always trying to get better and change it. So this time we're going to have, instead of 4 startups, we have 3 startups. Instead of having 3 advisors, we have 2 advisors. The advisors will have 2 minutes each. It's non-confrontational, which means it's one way. The angels get to tell you what they don't like and what they do like, mostly what they don't like, and how you can improve. And that's kind of the best part of it. You're going to get direct feedback, but they're going to get 2 minutes. So Angelo will probably have 6 because he tends to go a little longer than most. But Irene's going to elbow him a little bit, and that might help us keep that to 2 minutes. So lots of great feedback. And then we do the crowd for 5 minutes so you guys can think of questions that you want to ask that's going to benefit them, but also give you guys some knowledge too, because I'm sure a lot of you are in startup world. So you guys probably both know Angela and Irene, but I'll introduce them. Did I say Angela again? Ah. So Irene is, actually I really like how Irene operates. She's magnificent when she comes to giving details and feedback. So she certainly goes deep, pulls all this information out, so you guys will get a lot of great direct feedback, which is key to what we do. She's a York Angel and investor, so we welcome her, which is awesome. Thank you for coming tonight. Clap. No problem. You can grab one extra one on the way out too. Angelo, he's been around a few times with us. He has become a partner in OPN, which is very exciting, so we're glad to have him. So outside of that, Angelo has been Angel of the Year. He's an investor, and he's just an all-around good guy that likes to give you good, raw detail, which is what we all like, so that's why we're here. So thank you, Angelo, for coming again. So the companies that are going to be out tonight, we have Monkey Jabber, Hubli. I said it right? Hubli. Man, every time I'm like, I don't know what it is. My brain won't get around that. BDC is going to come up and give you guys a few minutes because we like making sure that we can collaborate with everybody so you guys can find money in other areas too. And we have Fetch It as well. So let's jump right into it. And I should also throw out there, because I didn't bring this up, but we should also thank Lucas for being part of this, because Lucas, am I allowed to say that he helps us kick ass in the York region? So he's a kicking ass guy in York region. So I was actually going to wait till the end, but I think actually, Lucas, because I just like hearing you talk, so why don't you just come up and chat about all the good stuff that you're doing with Y2, and we'll have you jump in. How's that? Then we'll go into the pitch.
I don't really think I'm all that interesting, so I'm going to try to speed this up. The Startup York region is one thing that I do, or I'm a community that I'm trying to help. So Startup York region is a not-for-profit volunteer community of entrepreneurs in York region. The idea is that if you think of the various organizations such as the York Angels, Venture Lab, Seneca Helix, York University's Launch You on-campus incubator, they're not going anywhere. And they're good at doing kind of one-to-one, one-to-many advisory. So they will run workshops. They do kind of consultations. So they're good at kind of this kind of thing. But what they don't necessarily spend much of their time on, because they're so busy with advisory and funding and so forth, is to bring entrepreneurs together in a networking, casual environment. So that's what Startup York is focused on. If these other organizations are the rocks in the jar, Startup York is the water that fills the cracks in between. So I'm going to go through real quickly. The backdrop of York region is that behind me, I hope the logos, yes, the logos of the organizations that support entrepreneurs in this region. This is a lot of them, but I keep discovering new ones. So to kind of speed this up a little bit, whether you are starting, whether you're prototyping, whether you're scaling, whether you're accessing funding, actually, whether or not or if you're looking for sponsorship, Jean-Paul back there has a company that will help you connect with sponsors. Wait, raise your hand, wave. So I got to add you to this, but for all stages of business, there's something in York region that will help, and most of these resources are free, funded by municipality, by government. They're here to help because if the tide rises and every boat benefits, yay us. So who are we? I mentioned Startup York, we're a community, we're not a top-down organization, but we basically are a bunch of volunteers who've said we want to bring people together, create forums like this, partner with organizations like OPN and others to create these networking environments. So we're cross-industry, it says startup, but really it's any entrepreneur, any business owner, anyone who's curious about it. The one thing that we share in common is the value of no pitching, ironically. Unless it's a PitchIt event, that makes sense. But what we don't want is an environment where people are throwing business cards at you, because that kind of sucks. So it's no pitch environment, no sales. Obviously, business conversations will come up, but we want to create a safe environment where you can talk, meet, network with people, and not feel like you're going to be sold to in a conversation. So we do a few things. We do monthly events, startup drinks, which is we're trying to replicate a little bit of what happens in Liberty Village. So the third Thursday of each month, we get together at a Turtle Jackson Richmond Hill. It's on 16th Avenue by the 404. And people can come and just drop by and chill, and usually we have someone who's going to come in and speak. So Jean-Paul has come in and talked about tips if you're looking for sponsors. 2 days from now, on the 15th, the person coming in is going to talk about considerations when you're building a mobile app. So the idea is someone will share, 10, 15 minutes of a chat, and then that acts as a bit of an icebreaker for you to meet different people. We run a speaker series called EIR, where entrepreneurs will get up and share their stories. We send out a monthly newsletter of just kind of things that are happening in the region. And we do a bunch of other things, partner with great organizations like OPN. We're running an AI panel on the 21st. We're running a blockchain workshop on the 28th. And the idea is to play with, what if we start offering technical content that typically you see in downtown Toronto? What if we offered up here and gave people an option to not have to drive downtown? So I believe the AI panel's sold out. It's free, so not really sold out. It's filled. Blockchain still has spaces. So all of our events so far have been free. Just we don't want to charge for people to have a community to join a community. I'm going to gloss over this because I'm getting tired of hearing myself speak. The full-time job that I have, I run an incubator for teens and preteens for them to learn about entrepreneurship. We are running a conference on the 24th, two-part conference. So the 24th and then March the 3rd is the finals. If you want to see a bunch of teens get up and amaze you with some really cool ideas, March the 3rd from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. in this very room, unless I decide to do it out there, is when it's happening. So again, it's free to attend. And every conference that we've had, it's astounding what these grade 9 to grade 12 students can do when you give them a little bit of framework and mentoring and so forth. They can amaze you. So you're all welcome to come check it out. And if you know of any teens who might be interested, let them know about it. It's the Y2 Entrepreneurship Conference. I'm going to gloss over all this stuff. Yeah, so stay connected. I'm done talking.
Thanks, sir. So the first one is Jabber. Okay, Jabber, let's go.
Which is up, which is down?
So it cooks that way. Got to point it right here.
Okay.
And there's the mic.
Yeah.
And your timer's right here.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Hey, my name is Jacob. I'm from Toronto. I'm looking for $250,000 today for Monkey Jabber. What we are a kids wearable company that's evolving the communication and the safety area for kids and parents, keeping them safe, one wearable at a time. So what is it we do? Let me tell you a quick story. I'm a single father of 2 kids. Last summer, I was at Canada's Wonderland. It's a great amusement park, especially when you have 2 kids and you're in the lineup for one of the roller coasters, Thunder Run. And the eldest kid has to go to the washroom, which is fantastic, but I've already been in lineup for 15 minutes. I don't want to quite leave. So I tell my eldest kid, go ahead. He's 7 years old. You know where the washroom is. Go, come back. I'll meet you here. We'll probably still be in line. So 10 minutes go by. He's still not back. I'm looking at my watch, getting nervous, my cell phone. I'm like, what's happening? 15 minutes go by. I pick up my youngest kid, run around Magic Mountain. I call it Magic Mountain. And go look for him. I don't see him anywhere. He was around. I ask parents. I ask other security people. We engage everybody. Anyways, I find him. He went out the other exit. There's 2 exits for the washroom, apparently. Who knew? Long story short is, as a parent, I wanted to find out, I want to be able to, A, communicate with my kid, and B, be able to track where his location was, which where the idea came about for Monkey Jabber, which is a kid's GPS walkie-talkie watch that allows the kids to communicate with me via walkie-talkie communication, and me as a father have a GPS app on my phone that I can track where he is. So what does this basically come out to, and why I developed a business idea behind this? Because in North America, between Canada and the US, there's 500,000 kids who go missing every year. This stats behind me is just for the US. So I was like, whoa, if this happens to me, I'm sure there's dozens and dozens of other parents who it happens to on a daily basis. And I really don't want to see this number going up. I'd really like to see this number going down. And as a father, it's just very important for me. So what does this mean? What's the market size? I had to do some validation behind this. According to TechCrunch, it's around $74 billion by the time we get to 2011. So what does that mean in terms of wearables specifically? They're saying it's like around $7.4 billion in terms of what I can address in terms of the kids market. And within that, I believe I can go after just a half a percentage point of that. I can get a really, really, really big number and make a big dent in terms of the marketplace. And again, 19% year-over-year growth according to the stats that I was reading at. So it's just a huge opportunity. So again, what does the watch do and what is it important? It's got 3 important features to it. 1, I'm able to track my kids' location wherever they are. 2, I'm able to talk to them via walkie-talkie communication. And 3, it's got a cybersecurity AI algorithms that prevents hacking, because you don't want to have a little plush toy that all of a sudden gets hacked. That'd be a big no-no. So what is the business model behind this? There's 2 parts. There's the watch, which is, this is a working sample of a bigger watch, but this is what it's going to look like, the prototype. And B, there's the monthly revenue cycle. So having come from the TELUS and the Rogers kind of life cycle, working in apps and product development and cell phones, what I've noticed is you got to have an equation, a balanced equation that does both. So I'm going to charge $99 US for the kids' watch as a one-time purchase, and I've already partnered up with talking to TELUS and Rogers to make sure I can charge a $10 monthly fee, which includes unlimited tracking and unlimited walkie-talkie communication. And again, the walkie-talkie communication is amongst the parents and amongst the kids' siblings and amongst kids' friends at school. So the fun factor gets exponential because they can talk to other kids. It's not just a close family communication. So again, what's my vision? Become a leading safety wearable for our kids. And what we're doing is we're applying our technology and patent applications to do so. Yes, we're applying for patents, and we continue moving along with that. So again, what's the forecast? Monthly SaaS we're going to be charging per user is going to be $10, or we're going to be earning. Watch sales, by the end of the year, should have around just over $2,500 users, 2,600 users, sorry. And around 725 in terms of annual sales, we should be there. Why? There's just a quick idea in terms of where the revenues will come from. Cumulative users, you start by the end of, by beginning of summer should be around 13, by the end of the 1,300, by the end of the year should be around 2,600. So you keep adding the new users we're getting, we're gonna get to the number that I mentioned, 700 and change. 3-year forecast, again, starting at 725 today, getting up to $2.25 million, which is our conservative estimates that we have right now. Now, why is this important? You might not be able to see the whole gamma of products and comparison here on the dashboard, but at the end of the day, what stands up for us? A couple things. One, we're going to be a 4G watch. 2, it's waterproof. And 3, we allow unlimited communication. So some of the other watches are out there. There's a couple ones that are starting to get into the kid space as well. They're 2G or they're WCDMA, which is an old technology which is being shut down in Canada. Or 2, they're being imported from overseas, which are really bad quality, and I wouldn't want to get into that space. And 3, you want to make sure they're at an accessible price point, that we have a good warranty behind them. So why is this all important? And I guess you don't need to see my picture on there, but you see me here, which is great. So who is the team and who are our advisors? Again, my experience is over 13 years working between Rogers and Bell, so Rogers and TELUS, and before that, CPG industry. My latest stint at TELUS was managing a SaaS application, which is the evolution of the mic network that we all knew was a closed network. So that's where my SaaS communication comes from. My CTO, he worked for the vendor who I used to work with, and he developed the whole architecture in terms of the walkie-talkie applications. So that's why we have a really strong team put together. We've got 3 key advisors. Yaron on the left-hand side, he's an expert in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of AI algorithms, who we've partnered with for the Deep Defense Network, as I mentioned before. Right to left. Gira Levy, he was the CEO of a vendor of mine, but he's got some great holdings of companies in Israel. And Dan Levy was an amazing person who actually built a lot of these networks internationally for walkie-talkie communication. So I've got a really good team of experts who can help us out to get us where we're going right now. So quick idea where we are, almost finished. First half, we spent it doing a lot of market research of 2017. Then we did some, prototype testing. Where are we right now? We're actually doing field testing with some users and some families, which we're getting amazing feedback, including some different uses for the watches, which is totally awesome. Second part is I've already started conversations with Rogers and with TELUS. Had a meeting with TELUS yesterday. They're already sending me the developers kit to make sure I can do some additional tests that they want me to do. Rogers, same thing. I've got another meeting with up the next couple of weeks. They want me to do some additional testing to make sure that the KPIs that they're going to be measuring at are what the high level caliber that they would want as a carrier. And also, we're looking to do a crowdfunding campaign in Q2 time space. And then also some other carriers we're speaking to in Southern Link in Atlanta, Telcel in Mexico, Best Buy in Mexico also interested. So we're approaching different channels already. These are conversations that we started all between December and January in the last couple of months. What are parents saying? Great testimonials by one mother saying it's amazing. She's a mother of 3. And also by Mark Charette, also an amazing father of 3 kids. He wants the application right now. And one of the biggest things, other than what they mentioned on here, is providing kids the independence that they want to be. They don't want to be helicopter parents. And we get into the stigma that parents are helicopter parents, and that's all they're doing, and they're not really allowing the kids to be free. It's like, I was a kid, I was 7 years old, I used to go to school on the buses by myself, but nowadays it's less and less likely because they're worried something's going to happen to them, or they don't know where they are, they can't communicate to them. And just to counterbalance this, why don't they just get them a cell phone? Well, you're going to spend $400 or $500 for a cell phone. The cell phone's going to break. It's going to get lost. You're going to get forgotten in the backpack, and then you got to spend $25 to $40 a month on your basic voice and text plan. So the value equation is also there. So just to wrap things up, here's where the money is coming from, where we're looking forward to spend it on. Marketing, we already got accepted to go with the Canada delegation to the America's GSM conference in the fall. We're also going with the Canada division to to CES in 2019. I know we just missed it right now, but we want to make sure we're really well prepared for it. Certification. I think we're actually, what I was talking to him today, you know, any cell phone has to be regulated, and we think we're going to spend less than that, but it's just where we got to have a good estimate on there. And then sales, having a good e-commerce and sales team, and the operations. Little quick video, I'm not going to play it right now, but just a quick video of a mother, again, a pediatrician, also recommending the product. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you. Irene, did you want to start?
I guess so.
All right.
Couple of things on the pitch. I really like you starting with a personal experience. I find that always compelling when someone's looking at solving a real life problem. I found the note about missing children a little bit sideways in the conversation. It doesn't help your sales pitch because, frankly, missing kids, the first thing they're going to do is take the watch off. So it doesn't. To me, that isn't a value add inside the pitch. It's a little bit separate. I would focus a little bit more on your distribution channel. I know you're approaching the telcos, but there's specific skill to sell into the telcos, and you've mentioned your background in Rogers and telco, so I'm not sure what that background is, more technical versus the sales cycle. Trying to sell into that type of telco is not easy. Plus, I'm wondering if this market is also addressable through not just social media, but partnering with baby companies, or not baby but toddler. That type of space, I would add that to your pitch about alternative distribution. The other part that I was questioning in my mind was your addressable market. You talked about 7.4 billion and then 74 million. I think there's an age limit. Honestly, I think kids beyond the age of 6, 7, 8 may not. They'll have their own cell phones. I know you talk about the price, but that's true. It is part of the demographic who would have a cell phone. Maybe, maybe not. I also feel there's a bit of option for philanthropy, if that's the right word, is that even at $99, it's not necessarily accessible to someone else at a different demographic than the people who are going to Wonderland. So that's the feedback. I liked the overall thing. I like the name. I think the money ask isn't very big, and you're trying to do a lot with it. The last thing I would always care about as an angel investor, I want to know how much skin you have in the game. So how much you're investing, or your time, or is it full time? And last, from my personal perspective, you may have a different point of view. I literally, most of the time, don't care about your advisory panel. It's nice to have, and it's a nice screen, but when you rhyme off the names, I don't know who they are. I don't have the ability to judge whether those are good people or not. And it's a slide that definitely I want to see at the end if I do due diligence, but during the pitch, you could kind of skip it, that type of thing. Was that less than 2 minutes?
I don't believe that.
Oh, come on. Sure I did 2 minutes. She doesn't have the thing up.
Well, I think Irene touched on a lot of things that I had here, and I've got this fancy workbook that erases once you touch it, and my hand's all blurred now. Thank you. As Irene mentioned, I like the good personal start, and that really sets the framework of why. And this is a good reason why. And then you did the analysis as there's always a good reason why someone has an idea, but is it just for me in my situation, and does it relate to others? So the one thing I would sort of suggest you do is try and get more feedback from the available marketplace that is out there that demonstrates that there really is a need and a problem that you're solving. So provide some more of that data. I know you touched on it, but I'd like to see more of it. The 2 testimonials to me isn't sufficient, right? And also your wife who's in the space, a little bit biased, I think. I do like all of the features and some of this market feedback, which I'm sure you've done, but it needs to really jump out at me. Are you over-engineering a solution for the marketplace? Are you providing too many features, or would only 2 or 3 of the functions be sufficient to capture as large a marketplace as possible? I also like your revenue model in the sense that there's an upfront cost, and one thing that we always look for from an investment perspective is there a recurring revenue stream that comes out of it. So you've got an MRR, and we could see that that is a vehicle that will scale your business to a larger level that would yield a return. I like the split in terms of what you're using the funds for. I always look at companies that have done a lot of their R&D work already and gotten to the proof of concept and touched the marketplace to get the feedback. So when you have your use of funds slide, that's really important. And the emphasis is more on the sales and marketing rather than certification and product tweaking and definition. So the good work on that. So again, my biggest sort of advice would be try and get more of that voice of the customer and determine exactly, is your product really fitting that problem in the right manner.
Yeah, you're under 5. It's good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. So we're going to give you the mic, and you'll be able to answer who has some questions in the audience? Okay. Sorry.
So just to understand the value proposition technically, so you said there is unlimited chatting or communication with the kid through what platform? Is it through the telco's platform, or what is the radius of the communication in terms of feasibility of the technology?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Very good question. Basically, what it is, it's a cellular-based watch, which works on 4G technology. So what does that mean? That the radius is wherever there's cell phone reception. And the function, that's in terms of the reception question that you asked. The second question is the features. There's basically 3 features on the watch. One is basic IM. The kids can respond via emojis. They can't really write much on there. 2, they can have unlimited walkie-talkie conversations, which is VoIP conversations over one-way streams at a time, like the old walkie-talkie Fisher Prices that we used to have. And 3, it allows a tracking via cellular GPS versus the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi GPS that's out there. And that's where you need the SIM card for both the data and for the tracking and for the IM that functions within the application. And that's all the features that's on there.
So you need to have the number for the SIM card?
So the monthly $10 fee that we pay for, that the user pays for, is for the use of the data. And that's why I've already started partnering with TELUS to start off with, to do some more extensive testing on their network, rather than using a no-name SIM card, to actually making sure that it works extensively through extensive testing on their network.
Okay. Yes, my name is Phoenix. Thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of questions. Number one is that have you done market research? Is there already similar such product in the market? Is the first question. And the second is that walkie-talkie is not a very complex technology from what you described. So let's say you become very successful. Would that be very easy to copy? Thank you.
So I think there's 2 questions there. The first one, the technology is not very complicated, correct, but it's exciting for kids. And the comparison that to other existing technologies, to answer that first question, is there are some basic 2G smartwatches that are available from China. The quality is horrible. They have no PTCRB registration here in the US and Canada. That means they're not certified to work here. They leak. The batteries leaks, and they fall apart very easily. And the main functionalities of the features that they sell are, number 1, cell phone communication, which being 2G, you need a voice and data plan. You need a voice plan for open cell phone communication, and 2, you need a data plan on top of that for the GPS tracking. So that's the comparison. And the other question was long term. Yes, I do have some more ideas that I'm actually looking already to raise. Part of the funds would be to a small amount of R&D to go into the future stage 2 watches, which will have a little bit more advanced systems I'm looking for, or even talking to Hubley to see what we can do together.
Okay.
So I see that your customer target is mainly parents, but I wanted to know how much feedback you actually got from the kids who would be wearing it, and what the age group they would be targeting. Because from the way that it looks now, it seems quite big. And if I was like a 9-year-old, that watch would be gigantic. So I just wanted to know how much feedback you actually got on the aesthetics, and if they would actually wear it.
So I've gotten a lot of feedback from kids from all ages in elementary school, from senior kindergarten all the way to grade 7 and 8. The ideal target market is kids who are in the elementary, 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds. Within dividing into 2 brackets, who are lower elementary, upper elementary. The lower elementary needs some very basic communication function, not so much the built-in instant messaging. And there was 3 schools that I went to already, and I've targeted both their parents, to talk to their parents, and talk to their kids, and they love it, from both age ranges and the both functionalities from it. I've got different videos in terms of testimonials that I just don't have enough time to show, but I do have different videos from parents. The people who are on there are not related to me because I'm a single father. So, and I do have testimonials from kids as well. The look and feel of the watch, I did get a lot of feedback on it before I decided on the watch itself, which again goes back to the previous comment from was the look and feel. The watches are imported from China. They're available right now. They're really horrible quality, and they fall apart within a few weeks.
Hi. That was a nice presentation. I liked it. But my question, if I was a parent, it's about child security. So do your device allows the parent to set a location or a range of location from which if the kid went outside, they get some alarm or something?
So your question is a geofence? Yes, it has a geofence as well. So in the case the kid enters or exits a particular area, whether it's a school zone, whether it's the house zone, or whether it's the park, whatever it may be, there's an alert that goes off, both on the kid's watch that says, hey, you're leaving a safe zone or you're entering a safe zone, and B, also a notification that pops up for the parents as well, letting them know that the kids is entering as well.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our last question.
Hi, good presentation, by the way. The watch that you have, I'm assuming it has a operating system in there, and you had a battery. How long does the battery last?
The watch lasts an average of a full day's use, so 24 hours under normal walkie-talkie and GPS tracking.
Okay, very cool. Thank you, guys. I think you got a great digital leash. Thank you. Next, we're going to have BDC come on up and chat. Yes, you guys can critique BDC too. He's got a minute and a half, so he goes over. You guys can start unleashing.
And the clicker is? The clicker, what do I do with it? Right there on the table. Oh, fantastic. It's good to go. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. My name is Francis Calderola. I'm an account manager at the BDC Business Center here in Markham, so I'm just down the road at Birch Mountain Highway 7. And bear with me. Okay. Oh, here we go. Is this better? Okay. The BDC is a Crown corporation. We're an extension of the federal government, and it's our mandate to work with companies large and small to help them grow. And we do so 2 ways. We do so by providing term loans and financing, and we do so by providing consulting and advisory services. We're a little bit different than your chartered bank that you see on every corner, the TDs, the RBCs, etc. We take on a little bit more risk, and we essentially lend a little bit more for a little bit longer. Let me take a step back. For a tech company specifically, the advantages of working with the BDC, or the advantage of working with the BDC, is that we can provide debt financing before having to give up equity. So this allows you a little bit more time to grow the company and sell an equity piece at potentially a larger valuation. So like I said, just circling back here, we offer financing, advisory services, and capital as well. What we don't do is a variety of what you see here. So we're very specific and very niche in the services we offer. You still have to maintain an existing banking relationship with your chartered bank or credit union, but we complement the financing that you'll receive there. I want to begin with the advisory services because it's something that's often overlooked. The advisory services that we offer are really designed to help you overcome an obstacle that you're facing, and especially with a newer company, a startup. Not only are the obstacles you're facing financing, but they could also include any number of other issues. We offer, in this case, advisory services, whether it's in business coaching, whether it's for HR, strategic planning. It could be for financial management, a whole variety of areas. And like I said, it's something to consider over and above just the financing we offer. When it comes to financing, generally speaking, the bank, the BDC, provides financing in three main areas. We provide financing for commercial real estate, so it could be a purchase in the millions of dollars. We provide financing for equipment. And we also provide financing for working capital. That's generally a catch-all for anything that isn't real estate or equipment. The BDC has a pretty robust portfolio of tech companies that we work with. That said, when it comes to providing financing in the tech space, the BDC plays a very, very specific role. So on the one hand, we do provide financing for startups, for new companies. The bank defines a new company as one that has less than 2 years financial statements on hand, right? But as a cash flow lender, we're really looking to work with and lend to companies that have the wherewithal to pay us back. And realistically, as a startup, especially a startup in the tech space where you're constantly reinvesting your profits to help develop the technology and bring your product to market, we're not. It'll take a while before you reach that stage. Typically, where we step in is at the cusp of market, at the cusp of going to market, or ideally when you've got a track record of some sales under your belt, you've got a certain degree of market acceptance, there's a certain degree of profitability. Again, we offer a variety of loans. I highlighted the startup loan that we offer. We provide financing for market expansion. Another of the loans that we can offer companies in general and tech companies specifically. We do also have a specific lending program geared to tech companies with a SaaS-based model. However, it requires certain minimums. You've got to be looking at about $75,000 a month in recurring revenue, and really it's not designed for startups. We do also offer other areas of the bank as well that work with that work with tech companies. One of which is our sub-debt or mezzanine financing group, BDC Growth and Transition Capital. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'll certainly be around for the evening. Again, I'm located at just down the road at Birch Mountain 7, and happy to take any questions you have.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so BDC is great, and I'll just throw out a little story because I guess we can go through. There's a lot of things that BDC does, but probably 6 years ago, I think it was, we built a product out. So we went to BDC. We took a loan from them, And we basically used that to launch our product. And the way we structured the loan was we set it up so that we could pay it back at the fastest possible rate. We didn't want to wait and have to pay interest, so we did do that. So I think I believe it was within 8 months, we had taken and paid off the loan. There was one that we had to take a penalty for, but we averaged out the dollars and said, our money's better in our pocket than yours. So BDC is great. You just have to figure out how to leverage what you need to do and what you need to get done, and then work your way from there. So they're a great resource to have, and certainly when they do step in to help startups, there's a lot more value there too. So thank you guys for pitching, and we'll go on to the next one. All right. Hubley, you're up, buddy. And the timer's right there, so you're good to go.
Okay, hey everybody. My name is John O'Landon. I'm the founder and CEO of Hubley. We're an all-in-one parent communication system built for small private schools. What we do is we help reduce the work around and simplify the management of tuition and parent communications. So why did I build that? With a total of 15 years of experience developing software and marketing it to the education sector, I kept on bumping into this problem that was never directly related to any of the products I was selling, but was always there causing problems for our customers. And so I started digging into that a little bit. And after a couple hundred hours of customer development conversations and a lot of analysis, it became very clear to me that communication between schools and parents is an absolute catastrophe across the entire sector. Add on to that the fact that there's decades of research that proves that parent engagement has a very profound and positive effect on student outcomes. And being that I was starting to grow my own family, I felt it was time to do something to fix the problem, not just for my gorgeous and obviously brilliant children, but for everyone else's gorgeous and a little bit less brilliant children. So why is parent communication such a disaster? Well, if you consider that the average school director is about 49 years old, or principal, the average school parent is 28 years old. And that's a very different demographic. And year after year, school directors keep getting older. They keep their jobs for about 15 to 20 years, but the parents stay the same age. So over the last decade, the expectations of parents and their needs around communication just keeps on evolving ever more rapidly. And unfortunately, people running schools are really just trained as teachers. They're amazing people, but they're just not up to the task to keep in sync with the parents. So what's happening today is, from the parents' perspective, schools are trying to solve this problem. They are trying to accommodate the parents. On average, a school is using about 10 different communication tools. Unfortunately, these are all disparate tools. They're not connected. So from the parents' perspective, they end up having 10 places to log into per child. From teacher to teacher, it's a different story, whether they're using Facebook or sticky notes stuffed in a backpack. And so on top of that, the school just kind of sends out like a weekly newsletter that has everything going on for everybody, which is about 90% irrelevant for every parent. So the schools are literally training the parents to ignore them. The problem is, from the school's perspective, parents have to be informed. So the more a parent doesn't know, the more the school has to chase after them. It's kind of a vicious cycle. So the result is, per 100 students, schools spend $35,000 USD per month simply on their staff managing parent communication. And private schools really need to be operationally efficient. Over the last 25 years, the market has increased 25%. So there's a lot of competition, and it's growing. And so what we're seeing is a decline in schools' ability to keep their enrollment numbers up. So that's where Hubley comes in. What we do is we sit in between the school and the parents, and we centralize all those different communication tools into one platform. We reduce paper usage in the office by over 90%, and we manage all those payments, the tuition and the different field trips and pizza orders and all that stuff. We manage all that stuff online, which makes things really, really seamless and simple for everybody. So how did we get here? Well, I've been operating Hubly out of the Ryerson DMZ for 3 years. And we started out focused exclusively on the parent communication problem. But while we were working, we realized that there's a need for a tuition management system to be built inside of that. So we built a tuition management system, and very quickly we realized the business opportunity of being the processor for all of that tuition. So we built the ability to be the the tuition processor. And so that's become the most powerful business model that we've been able to achieve. So where are we at today? We've got 72 schools. We're managing over 300,000 parent messages a month. And each school has an average of just over 4,000 page views per month on their site. Schools love Hubly because we reduce their workload and we make their parents really, really happy. So let's talk about the market a little bit. Right now, we've been focusing on Montessori schools exclusively, just because it's a great beachhead into the larger US private school market, which is 35,000. So inside the US, there's $52 billion of tuition processed on an annual basis. Our system currently allows us to generate 1% of revenue on all that transaction. After dominating the US, we're going to take over Europe. There's 65,000 schools there with $98 billion tuition to process on an annual basis. And Hubly, we've kind of carved out a niche inside of a niche. We've built this product to address the very underserved sector of the smaller, younger age private schools. There's a lot of competition in the education space. From one end of the spectrum, there's school management software. These guys have been around for decades. On the other side, there's a lot of new communication apps popping up all the time. But where Hubly comes in is we actually offer more features than any of those competitors. But what we've done is actually flipped the feature prioritization and developed school management, but really inside of a communication platform. This is what schools really need. And the larger schools that have a lot of software options, even though they're not great communication platforms, they'll just throw more people at the problem. Smaller schools can't do that. They need a solution, and that's why they love Hubly. So here are our milestones. And we launched in January 2014. In March 2016, we were at 30 schools with 5K MRR, and that's when we raised $200,000. That was our first investment. It was from family and friends, and a little of my own. And then we, now in February, we're at 72 schools. That $200,000 allowed us to test and optimize a marketing funnel, and that got us to over double the size of our customer base, but more importantly, increase our MRR by a multiple of 6, but also increase our MRR per school by over 100%. So this is our revenue model. We get schools in on the platform for $4,664 per year per school. We also upsell them to services. We're offering productized services like marketing or invoice management services that add on another $12,460 per year per school. So we expect to be upselling 20% of those customers. In addition to that as well, with the average school tuition being $1.5 million a year, that puts us in the position to add another $23,400 per school. So the overall revenue potential per school is $40K per year. This is how we're going to market. So when we raised that $200,000 from our family, that allowed us to stop cold calling schools. So we started testing Facebook ads. first we were spending about $45 per demo sign up, and then the cost of acquisition was about $1,200 per customer. Over the last year and a half, well, we got that, we were able to whittle that down to just under $10 per webinar sign up instead of demos. So we developed an education inbound marketing strategy, and now we're closing customers on an average cost of $610, and with all those additional upsells, that brings our lifetime value to $90,000 based on a five-year engagement. So we're here today to raise $1.25 million. We have a lead investor. It's Scale Up Ventures. It's a soft commitment at this point, but they're going to start with 500. We have another private fund coming in for about another 300. So we've got $400 to $500 to fill. And we're going to be raising that on a cap of 4.5 pre-money valuation with a 20% discount. We're going to be putting 60% of that into sales and marketing, but we also need to spend some money on our platform, make it more usable, and we've got some roadblocks. We can actually outsell our ability to onboard customers right now, which is a good problem, but we need to remove that roadblock, so we're going to spend 40% of that on usability, redesign, and going native mobile as well. So these are our projections for revenue and profit. So by 2022, we expect to be just over $12 million a year. And there's a lot of strategic buyers out there. There's the most acquisitions in the education space are actually happening where we are, which is K through 12, which means kindergarten through 12. That's where we sit. And this is our advisory board. I'll skip over that since that's not that interesting to anybody. And just to talk about myself a little bit, 15 years of experience in this sector. Maybe most importantly, when I was 21, I won a world music competition. So just to, if anyone's investing in Hubbly, they're investing in a person that will not quit until I'm the world's best. So that's who we are. Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Good job, buddy. Good job. Angelo, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, John. It's good seeing you. It's just been a few days, right? And I'm glad to see that you made some changes to your pitch, so good job.
Is he a ringer?
He's a ringer. He's a good ringer. He's got the same hairstyle as I do. The one thing that sort of captured my interest in your pitch, because this is the first time I've seen the full pitch, is that you identified a really crowded competition landscape, and you've identified a real niche market that you're going after at this particular point. Those 6,000 Montessori private schools that are out there. What I would like to see, and you might want to consider, is identify who is the dominant player in terms of your competition in that segment, and how you relate relative to that major player, right? So identify that. Again, I like your, you've got a good revenue model in terms of upfront upselling and then recurring revenues that are there. On that, in terms of your trajectory to growth, I see a lot of, although targeted, but more passive engagement with the marketplace. So I'd like to see you being in front of the teachers and the actual decision makers, maybe presenting at a conference or several conferences where you raise the brand and the value proposition that you bring to the table. One other aspect, and it gets back to the competition side of things, I always like to see what we call, what is your moat? How do you protect yourself? You may be doing a great job, and actually you may be teaching and training your competition to up their game. And so what do you have in place that will prevent them from replicating what you can provide and always be 2 steps ahead of them? But good job. I like it.
Well, you really appeal to the numbers girl inside of me. I'm always about the numbers. Anybody who knows me would say that. The minute you told me you were going to get a piece of the tuition fees, that 1% is huge. It's passive. It makes the model, because the other alternative for them is to use a general credit card processor. They'd have to pay that money anyways. And so you have a really compelling sales proposition, because you're already spending that money. So they're not having to lay out an additional significant amount of money for the communication strategy. You answered my question that I had in my head, which was all about profit. I wanted to see what your gross margin was like, and you showed that in the slide. Although I don't care that much about the advisory board, I care a lot about the entrepreneur. My partner and I always have, it's not unspoken because we say it out loud, is that we invest in entrepreneurs that would rather die than not pay us back. And that's the music competition I like, because it gives a flavor of the person and the entrepreneur that you are. I would like to know a lot more about the B2B SaaS company that you built, because that gives you track record. So overall, the pitch was nicely, it was a nice, maybe musical, perhaps it followed a specific pattern with the crescendo and then at the end with a nice loud finish. So there you go.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, who's got questions?
Hi. So my question is that is this app is all about bridging between parent and teachers, but does it just communicate between them, or like some students they're scared of bad marks and they didn't show it to their parents, so does it convey that to their parents too, like any other report other than just communicating?
So our product is really focused at the younger schools, where parent communication is, really the only communication happening between the home and the school is through the parents. We're not really working with high schools where parent communication is less important and grades can be hidden and things like that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, great pitch.
Thank you.
My name is Jamad, and I would like to know about the competition, actually.
Yeah.
When you did some market research in Canada as well as in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the competition like in this space, and how high are the barriers to entry?
So there's a lot of competition in the space on a feature level.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't on going after this market on a platform level. And barrier to entry is it's kind of low. It's a bit of a land grab right now. So what we've done is that we built a product that schools really like, and we're really good at selling it. And so we're going to be dumping a lot of money to scale up that sales, but we have to invest into the platform so that we can actually get it out of the way so we can scale it up faster. But what's the most exciting thing is that we discovered that our platform organically promotes tuition processing. So that's kind of our moat against tuition processors, is that we have this platform where it's almost like a marketing funnel. You invest into creating content, which people would otherwise pay for. You give it away for free to pull in customers. We're very likely to move our platform to free or lower the barrier of entry so that we can rapidly onboard more customers and move them into payment processing, which is a much better or much larger revenue opportunity.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you.
Are you guys based out of Toronto or
Yeah.
somewhere? Yeah. Okay. Quick question regarding the engagement. Let's call about parental engagement with the schools. What kind of features you're really focusing on that can promote that, just that element only?
Parent engagement?
Yeah.
So I don't get into the product too much, but what it is the core communication platform is a private social network, very much like a private little Facebook for the school. It's a groups-based social network. Every class or room has their own group, and then what we've done is baked in a number of different school-specific communication features into that. So the reason why we built that is because when I started looking and doing the customer development and understanding why is communication so bad, it's because part of the reason is because everyone at teachers and school staff are kind of using all these different communication tools. Like if you name it, they're using it. Facebook, Shutterfly, SurveyMonkey, everything. And the problem is that creates this patchwork that's very hard for everyone to actually use. So we went and pulled out the core components that are delivering the value that they want, and we baked them into this one private, secure place and prioritize them the right way for schools. So it just centralizes all that stuff. But the core engagement is basically like think Facebook. That's how it works inside the school.
Okay. Well, we're going to cut it off there because that's our minute. But thank you very much. That was good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, how many of you guys are actual startups? In the process, building, want to be a pitch company, all that good stuff? Oh, lots of hands. Cool. Well, one of the things that we do, we have a segment where it's you come up 30 seconds, talk about your business. So if we have 3 people come up, they can talk about their business. So who's got the, am I allowed to say cojones? All right, there's one. Come on up. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. 3. We need 3. One more. Who else can do it? Let's go. One more. Come on. You guys are all, you're going to have to do it at some point. All right, so the deal is you got 30 seconds. At 30 seconds, I cut you off. I'm counting. So you're going to have your best pitch elevator pitch ever. So here you go.
Okay, my name is Raymond. My team and I are making an app right now called the Howdy. So it's a neighborhood app for everybody in the neighborhood. So it's going to help people to openly request or offer assistance, share information, and also create opportunity to connect in the same neighborhood, which could be a condo, a school, or in an actual physical neighborhood. And we're trying to use how to transform the daily interaction in the neighborhood so the neighbors can have more frequent and quality interactions.
And your name is?
Raymond.
Done. Thank you. All right. Who's up? Oh, man, I don't know how to reset. Okay, who's up? You're up.
Hi, my name is Tariq Jamal. I've been in technology for the last 21 years, focusing on customer loyalty, analytics, and CRM area. Right now, we're building a tool that can help any company, small or medium, to push to their CSV file, and they can see their dashboards instantly in multiple technologies like Tableau, Power BI, and a few others. And besides that, we have one tool we are building a digital form. Is when you have a contact form on your website.
Your name is?
Tariq Jamal. Thank you.
All right, buddy. You're up.
Hi, my name is Imad Qureshi. I'm a corporate banker by profession, having more than a decade of experience behind my back. Dialed in Toronto last week and intend to start a company dealing to do with fintech features, having technology and finance together. So being into the lending business, so I want to revolutionize and disrupt it. So I hope to wish me luck and mentor me, perhaps, to support me.
And your name is?
Imad Qureshi.
All right, thank you. I kind of like that. It's kind of fun. All right, so we now have one section before we get into our last pitch, and we're changing this up a little bit too. Normally we have a question that we ask, and I thought, you know what, today why don't we try something a little bit different? You guys all want to have access to our angel investors, so why not have questions from you guys to them? So it's going to be a random question, and you guys can choose who's going to pick. And Lucas, you can jump in too. You're an investor. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, I think we're going to have you come work with us.
Hi, actually I'm a student, and this is all I'm doing is research. I'm a marketing student here in Seneca. I'm amazed to see these people and you all focusing on things that are very minute but very important in a business. So my question to you is, what do you most look in a business model when they show you?
It varies. I know that's a terrible answer.
Yeah,
So
that's okay.
we do two different types of investing. We do private placement, which is larger amounts, and we usually take a bigger share of ownership. So you're typically above 10%. Otherwise, we do angel investments, and the reason why we do angel investments is because we invest in spaces or businesses that we don't personally have the knowledge to evaluate in the same way. Our private placements, we look for models that we understand. Our background, my partner and I are CPG, fashion, apparel, some tech, because I do tech as well. And we look for product-based businesses, honestly. For us, that's really important. I think what investors look for is specific to their own background. Some investors have very deliberate ROI models. They look for very specific spaces with exits that they understand. It varies from the investor to the company itself and their own background.
So can I say it mostly depend on the type or category of the business? In tech, mostly the revenue is important. It's just a product oriented and it doesn't need much of investment, but the gross margin and profits are high. So you look for that. Is it growing or not?
Yeah, I'd look for the ability to scale and grow in a fairly rapid fashion. So and you probably saw when I touched on, in the revenue models, it's not just that one-time revenue from a customer or an end user, but the ability to transform that relationship, that business relationship, on an ongoing basis. So having a recurring revenue is really important, and at least I look at that as an ability to see how it scales. And keep in mind that we as investors, when we look at all of these potential companies, they're typically at the earlier stage, typically, and probably of 10 investments that we do, 7 of them will probably fall off and yield no returns. 2 of them, not the CFO, but that's the reality. And then there are 2 that are in the sort of on AMC, on the Walking Dead, the zombies. They're doing something. They're producing sales, and they could be actually really good lifestyle businesses that will yield a comfortable living for the individuals. And usually there's that one that sort of yields a 10 times return, that sort of pays for all of the other ones. So you're bang on in terms of, we look at the revenue model, the ability to scale, and is there an adequate team to be able to execute on that potential.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
I'm just wondering, first of all, if those 7 out of 10 died before paying you, if that's the reason you didn't get paid back.
Yeah, I do have friends. No.
What kind of skin in the game do you typically expect from the entrepreneur themselves? What kind of investment are you typically seeing them put in terms of money and time, and then also maybe from friends and family before you guys get involved?
For us, it's actually a key element. We look for an entrepreneur that either is devoting a significant amount of time, has put in some capital of their own if they can. We look for entrepreneurs that aren't looking for me to give you a paycheck. I think it's a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is that they're looking to continue perhaps the idea of having a salary. That's not the case. If you're an entrepreneur, you take the risk and you get the majority of the reward. I echo what the BDC said, which is equity is the most expensive form of financing you can get because you give up a piece of the reward in the long term every time you go out and do that. We don't think you should not have any money. Look, people do need to live on something. We get that. But when I see founders that come and say, oh, look, we're raising $5 million and we're going to take out $250 a year or $100,000, it doesn't matter what that number is. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my money going to pay your utilities. That's not how we would evaluate it. It depends on the entrepreneur and where they're at.
Okay, one more.
I know you guys like always focus on the numbers, how much money we can bring in on a monthly basis. But let's say the product I'm making right now is a social media app, right? So it's hard for me to like actually to create like a number to like knowing how much I can make on a monthly basis from the revenue, right? Like let's say I will come to you for angel fund, like what number I should bring to you, showing you, hey, you know what, my company actually valuable, right? I should have and then what can I actually get your attention? What number I can bring to you?
Every opportunity is really unique. And depending on the space that you're in, especially social media-based opportunities that are out there, it's the number of users that are engaged in your platform. So what we like to say is the number of eyeballs that you gain, right? They may not necessarily be paying at this particular time, but if you have a significant critical mass of eyeballs there and some traction, the key challenge is there an ability to monetize all of those users that are out there? So we look at your realistic ability to transform the market feedback into revenues. I personally want to see some traction in the marketplace, that people have seen the value here and are willing to pay for it. But things do change. Look at the Facebook model. No, we're not ready to monetize at this particular point because we need more people on there. And there was a vision on how to monetize it at one stage.
Yeah, just to add to that, we have invested in our private placements most often at the very beginning when there was no revenue, basically a prototype. We did care about what the activity had been to that point. So someone had actually significant traction on Facebook, was somebody who knew how to use that. So it wasn't a number. We are willing to take risks in private placement that we probably don't do the same in angels.
Okay, last question.
Thank you. Is there a common thread to the failures?
I haven't had that many. I would see one failure right now. There were our friends there at Centrunk. It's sometimes youth. Perhaps enthusiasm hides a couple of, maybe not just youth, but enthusiasm, and the idea seems bigger than perhaps what they can actually realize as a team together. So that's the piece, at least for the one that I would say is feedback on that. Yeah, I think so. You know, it's like cool guys with a cool app and a cool idea, like, oh, let's go, right, type of thing. It could be one of those ones that pays off in the hundreds of millions or zero, which is what happened in this case.
I think that on those ones, there's such a mix on failures. I think sometimes it comes down to team. It could come down to vision. Sometimes I think a lot of the owners, too, may not look to outside discussions or mentors. It's a tough one because each one has its own problems, and sometimes they don't face the problems because your head's stuck in the weeds and you're trying to build a platform when you should be out selling. So a lot of the times one doesn't fit before the other. And it doesn't happen, it happens that they don't get anywhere. Some become lifestyle businesses where they break even, they're not going anywhere. And you obviously got to look at one of the comments that you were making earlier. Angel investments are looking for businesses that have high growth potential. Do you want to put your money in, say, for instance, you're going to put money in somewhere, you're going to put it in because you're going to get 1% for the next 20 years? They're going to be like, that's kind of boring. You want to put something that's going to generate faster, quicker, and have an out clause. And that's what they have to look at and say, can you double, triple, quadruple this business quickly? And can you scale your business without having it fall apart? So at some of those times, it doesn't work out as well as you'd like. So they will have a break point. And if they don't have the right people in there to support it and make it grow, then you can have that the wheels fall off the bus per se. So,
And one other thing, JP just really hit on the right elements. It's about the team and the cohesiveness of the team, all focus on the right strategy, right? But one thing that I've seen where failure has occurred quite a bit is in the inability to make the appropriate changes as the market has changed. So I think you'll see a lot of companies as they grow from that early stage into success, that if you took a snapshot of what their business is now compared to where it was 3 years ago, say, wow, this is completely different. And it's transformed and changed, and a lot of times it's because the marketplace changes. And so the ones that fail are typically the ones that aren't reading where the market is going or not listening to the marketplace and making the appropriate changes.
So one thing, just to maybe be, this might be useful for anybody who wants to learn more. Behind me is the York Angels website, and I've kind of hovered over educational resources. So the York Angel Network, there we go. So the York Angel Network is the largest, I think the largest network in Canada now of angel investors. So JP mentioned GTAN, Spark Angels is another network, Maple Leaf Angels are another. So there are a variety of, there are many angel networks across the country. And York Angels is now amongst the largest, if not the largest. If you're interested in kind of general resources, if some of this conversation about angel investing is doing this to you, totally cool. I know when I started, I'd say of us, I'm the least experienced angel. This is helpful, and I flipped through this stuff. So you saw, I just logged on, I just opened the site. So this is publicly available, as well as there are pitches from York Angels on the YouTube channel. So if this is of interest, and if you have lots of extra time to invest in your own education, go to yorkangels.com. Or Google it, as that's generally what I do, and go through the resources. This might be useful background for any of you who are particularly interested in learning a little bit more about the exchange that just happened.
And the other one you can check out is NACO, National Angels. I should know this. I didn't think of it. Anyways, National Angels Organization. So NACO, check that out. They have a lot of great resources, videos, tutoring, everything, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of information that comes out around what is a term sheet? Should I be raising, giving away equity, all that good stuff. So anyhow, without further ado, we're going to have PitchIt. Feel like the price is right. Just come on down. Come on down, man.
Thank you. Just a quick note about NACO. We used it to get our term sheet, and I think I saved our investor a couple $1,000 because the ones on here have been reviewed by and commented on by lawyers all over the country, if I got that correctly. Anyways, thanks for having me out here tonight. I appreciate it. Angelo, nice to meet you again. I don't know where you get the energy for this. If you have so much energy, I'll bring out my soccer team and... Okay, so I run a company called PitchIt. We do last mile delivery in Toronto, and we specialize in the larger items. So there's a big, you see the food delivery guys, Foodora, Uber Eats, and there's a lot of market out there for the small items. So we kind of decided to focus on a niche market, which is the bigger items. And as you can imagine, it's not fun moving large items, so we decided it's a good problem to tackle. It's labor intensive, takes a lot of time if you guys are going to move something big, to organize that. It's a big move. It's frustrating because nothing ever goes to plan, nothing ever fits. And it can be expensive, whether you damage things or you go with professional movers. And we also realized that the current choices suck. And we kind of, it's been a long path. We started off as a B2C company, now we're B2B. And talking with a lot of furniture companies, this is something that they all deal with, and they've come up with a couple different solutions. The first is they'll actually do the deliveries themselves, renting a cargo van. A couple of our Canadian Tire clients, what they used to do is every Saturday, rent a cargo van. They relied on one of their guys to be at the shop that day to do deliveries, and it was a big ordeal. They will get their family and friends to help out if they're just starting up. You can go with professional movers, but you have really big delivery windows. It can be 5 to 6 hours. If you've ever received orders from IKEA, you might know this. And they might not even show up, so you stay at home for nothing. And finally, you can just go and hire random third-party moving companies that you found online, and hopefully that they show up, so you end up having 4 or 5 guys you rely on. It's a very slow process, takes a lot of time, and wastes the customer service representative's time. So what we developed is a program that connects businesses and people with available local minivan, pickup truck, cargo van, and box truck drivers. Pickup truck, not so much for the business clients, but it was there from our B2C side. And we connect you with them quickly, affordably, and, well, there's probably a third adjective somewhere there, but quickly, affordably, and anyways, you basically get a perfect experience with the PitchIt drivers. I mean, they're friendly and personable. Each person is in charge of their own vehicle, and they're given kind of essentially a unit of PitchIt to take care of, and their ratings dictate how many jobs they get, and they're in charge of their unit of PitchIt. So they're all amped up and ready to do a good job. So the process is super simple. We've created a native app, which isn't used too much by the business clients, but if you would like to go and get something large moved, you can go and download the app. But our business clients use the business dashboard. It takes 30 seconds to get the customer's info and a quote up, and it's fairly standard. So now we train our business customers to say, it's only $50 for local delivery, and we also do small line delivery for $14. If you're not sure if you live within 5 kilometers, we'll take your address and we'll get you a quote. Anyways, they post the job, and it can be within 2 hours, 3 hours, or next day, same day between 9 and 5 p.m. Obviously, there's different price levels for that, and it kind of ropes customers in. Do I want a 1 hour delivery window, or can I be okay with a 5 or like a full day, knowing that I'm going to get a call tomorrow? And hey, this is Matt calling from PitchIt. Your stuff's going to be there between 3 and 5. Does that work? No, 7 to 9. That's good. Okay, perfect. We'll be there between 7 to 9. Gives us the flexibility to schedule our driver's day much more efficiently. So we actually have the first to market advantage in Canada. There are no crowdsourced last mile delivery players in the last mile delivery space. There are some guys in the US, and we looked at GoShare and Deliv as kind of as good role models. Deliv is doing a great job in the small market. GoShare is starting to do they were a B2C player for the large item delivery, and now they're kind of moving into the B2B space. But we have the advantage of local business partners, and we also have a business suite and an API for integration for e-commerce. So we currently have over 50 business partnerships, including Canadian Tire, Value Villages, and StructTubes. We're working to increase those, our main customers, Canadian Tire and StructTube, and to do a rollout over Canada. As they have interesting relationships in the way the store is built, but we're able to capture that and work well with it, so we think we have a good solution for them. We have over 1,000 drivers and 3,000 on backlog, 7,500 users on the B2C side, which is just, it's there, it's growing on its own. We don't do much, and it is about 10% growth per month. We have native iOS and Android apps for the drivers. The users, we now direct to our web app. It's just so much easier to maintain a web app than native apps. And so that's our web booking platform. And finally, we have a business dashboard for our business clients, and that they can access through their phone, iPad, desktop, whatever point of sale they're using in their stores. Where we want to go, our goals for Canada, we want to see 4,000 business partners, over 100,000 users. Our PitchIt API integrated into e-commerce websites, integrated through Shopify as well to offer this last mile delivery. That creates a moat. That makes it very difficult for other people to come in and take our business, because these companies have already gotten in bed with us, and why would they find another partner when we're the best? And then we're also looking at additional vehicle classes such as cars and bikes, but that's further on down the road. Minivans are really neat because you can actually fit quite a bit of stuff in a minivan with no seats in it. And then so you're kind of combining courier delivery with direct, so you're not putting 100 loads in a vehicle, but maybe only 50. And then you can be much more precise with your delivery windows because your errors don't concatenate down the line. So our B2B go-to-market plan generally relies on word of mouth. For example, I went to the interior design show in Toronto a couple weeks ago, and in like 2 hours I picked up 4 clients. So you just show them how it works, and it's a quick sign up. Again, super easy. It takes about 5 minutes to verify their account when they can start doing deliveries the next day. And a lot of companies love that. We offer them a free delivery, so it's a painless switch. They try it with something easy, see how good it is, and then it's on from there. And if the company has a couple stores, that's amazing, because then they onboard the other ones. Otherwise, they talk, let each other know through LinkedIn or these design shows where we go and hand out business cards, and I do some direct sales that way. But these are a couple of our other clients. There's many uses for PitchIt. I mean, every business has delivery issues. So a quick Google search for furniture delivery or last mile large item delivery pops up, and then we can reach out to them that way. We also use a company from Kitchener called Vidyard. and they're amazing for video sales through email. You basically, instead of writing an email out, you talk to your microphone and webcam, and I got like a 30% response rate on those emails, up from like 2%. It's really cool. Anyways, our Fetchiteers, that's what we call our drivers, 7-point onboarding process. Because they are independent professional courier and direct delivery drivers, it's kind of one level of uncertainty removed. We don't generally work with the general public anymore, just because there's so many drivers out there who are pros and have the right insurance. It's much easier for us. We do, however, have carrier liability insurance. That's if the driver and the customer both did nothing wrong, but something's still screwed up. So we're covered for that. And we have a cargo insurance policy on the items being moved for independent drivers, which is also really cool. It's about $10,000 per vehicle, but if a vehicle's taking 4 things at a time on average, then it's $2,500 per item. We also have 95% 5-star ratings, which is a testament to how well our onboarding process works. We don't just let anybody join. We do its extensive vetting process to make sure that they represent FetchIt's culture, right, which is customer-facing and at the same time representing the client who they're doing the business for. So our team's passionate about last mile logistics. There's myself, I'm a professional engineer. I lost my ring. And Eugene is our head of operations. He also founded a similar company. We rolled him into ours. And then Samir Baggage, another guy, started a similar company, and then he shelved his project to work with us, so he's our CTO. We've got Stephen Televi, who is the founder of Grocery Gateway, working with us, and then Justin Jones and Michael Truman. You may have heard of them. So that's basically FetchIt. If you ever need help moving large items, we're here to help. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you're obviously very enthusiastic about your business model. You obviously enjoy operating the business because you gave us an awful lot of information about operating activities. As a pitch, I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish. Are you here? It seemed more like a selling pitch than it is a pitch for investment, because there was no ask, there was no financials. It took me all the way through until the slide where you said what we are, that I sort of clued in that it's B2B. You mentioned B2C multiple times. I'm still a little unclear about your business model, honestly. So a couple of things that I would suggest. If you are looking for investment, you want to ask for it. You want to clarify what your business model is, what the scale it has, how it's going to grow. Obviously, you enjoy it, which is always a good thing. But that's the kind of things that I would be looking for as in any type of investment opportunity.
Hey, Matt. How you doing? Well, I'm a big fan, as you know, and I like you guys. You do great work. The one thing that I like, and maybe it's to harp back on one of the questions, when I look at your presentation, the story came out that you did do a pivot. You went from this B2C initial concept into a larger opportunity, a B2B, and you made that transition. So I like that, but maybe I'm biased because I've known you for a while, that I knew that shift, right? So highlighting that in your presentation would really help out. Regardless of whether you're pitching for investment or pitching for sales, what would usually help is on that pretty impressive list of engagements that you have to sort of quantify that. How has IKEA embraced you? How has Canadian Tire embraced you? And that could either help on trying to get another sort of elite customer in your portfolio, or convincing Irene to pop up the big bucks, right?
Big bucks.
Big bucks. So I know you're out there, you're hustling, and I think that actually those items that Irene mentioned, I echo those things. And I think this is, from a full circle point of view, I think this really comes back to Jeffrey's tagline when we first met. I said, hey, why don't you come and pitch in front of an angel And you said, no, Angelo, I want to focus on getting customers and not pitching. So kudos to you.
Thank you. There you go. Okay, so who's got questions? Going to go over to you.
So a quick question for you, because like you said you go from like B2C to B2B, right? But what was the biggest motivation to you to make this change? And because it sounds like if you stick with like B2C, you can potentially be like the Uber for like delivery, right, in Canada. And my second question is that like since you focus on B2B, right, why do you still maintain the app, the app for the users? Because if they just have like a web app, that might be just easier for you guys to maintain.
Yeah, great questions. The B2C is what we started with. We were warned not to do it. It's a really difficult play. It's expensive. And we were like, it's a great idea. But you end up paying a lot of money to get a customer who's going to use you once a year, maybe twice a year. And every customer is different. You're dealing with so many unknowns. Better to get a business who's going to funnel 50 jobs to you per month, and then you just have to, sure, there's a higher acquisition cost. You got to get materials out for them, hand out materials, literature, and all that stuff. But in the end, the return on investment is much better for the B2B community. We do like the B2C, and that love is still in our hearts, which is why when we developed our API, we just threw the web booking up there quickly. That's what we leave up for the B2C crowd. We've actually stopped developing the native iOS app for users, just because it's very expensive to keep up with the operating system upgrades. So the Android app for users is still up, but once that gets a little bit, deprecated, then we will just move completely to the web app for B2C. It's so much easier to maintain. If you open it on your mobile browser, it looks exactly like an app. And that's what I recommend all new entrepreneurs do when they ask me, like, how much did it cost to make your apps? I'm like, way too much. Just get web apps. Do web apps.
Okay.
Hi, Matt.
Hey.
I'm quite surprised also to look at PitchIt. I arrived recently in Canada last week, in fact. There's a company called Fetcher, Fetch with an R, almost having the similar theme. I've used this company like anything in Dubai. So it has just raised round B funding of $41 million in Dubai. So is it somewhere related to your company, or it's totally independent of you?
It's totally independent. We sometimes get angry emails to us. Where's my package? And it's all in Arabic. We got to translate it.
Exactly.
But they focus more on the smaller things. But that's, looking at Fetcher, GoGoVan, Lala Move, they're all raising their Series C now at like $100 million.
Absolutely.
So what our plan to do, and I did throw this pitch last minute together, and I didn't include the slide on the ask, but what our plan is to get a decent number of corporate clients on board where we can actually go to the table and get investment on our terms instead of being taken to the cleaners, which is what happened a couple months ago when I was doing my first round
of funding.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Hi. So actually, that guy already asked my question.
Yeah.
Like, I was just asking about the B2C. That is there any web version? Because I just move. Like, I am a customer, so I just move like once or twice a year. So why should I download a full app for that? There is a web version for it, but you already answered it. It's starting, and you are concentrating on B2B, and this app is a good platform. So yeah, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Minivans start at $29, and it's $1 per kilometer. So.
Okay, hold on.
So in terms of modality and competition, I know that Uber is doing quite a lot of different things than the regular mainstream business, like deliveries and stuff like that. Whether it's B2C or B2B. Do you think that something like that can be a threat for you guys? And if so, how would you tackle that?
So that's a good question. Comes up a lot. And the interesting thing is Uber tried to do this in Hong Kong when they saw GoGoVan and Lala Move taken off. They started Uber Cargo, I believe it was, and they decided that it wasn't something they were interested in, simply because there are other people who are better at it. And our moat is getting all the business partners on board, getting ourselves integrated into their e-commerce platforms getting into their stores, making it difficult for Uber to just simply come along and get them to switch again. So that's our defensive platform against Uber if they want to buy our business partners for $3,000 a pop or customers for $30 each. Down the line, that's one of the exit strategies in 2 or 3 years.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Guess you can throw up the first slide again. Okay, so we're now come to the conclusion, I guess, of our event, and we're going to do one thing, which is we always have a draw, or we try to have a draw. So we're going to draw for an OPN T-shirt because why not? We all want something free, and this is pretty exciting. It's a T-shirt. All right. Okay, let's see. Peter, you're in. I'm going to shake your hand right now, but you will get the T-shirt.
I never win anything.
Well, you won a T-shirt. See? Now you're going to tell everybody. OPN T-shirt. Awesome. So before we do Jet, we're going to have the startups come up to the front with the angels. We're going to do a photo. I implore you guys to stay behind to chat with the startups, to also chat with the advisors. BDC will be here as well. So please make your way, speak to them, learn, ask questions. That's what this is all about. Hug somebody. It doesn't matter. Do something that's going to keep you guys engaged with these people. But at the end of the day, it's all about supporting and helping the community. So I thank you guys, our sponsors, the angels, the startups, and everybody for coming out tonight. You can find me on LinkedIn if you guys want to connect. You want to pitch, you want to do anything of that sort, feel free to reach out. We're at opn.ninja. But thank you very much, guys. Have a great night.